The morning my father left for work felt heavier than any other morning I could remember, like the house itself was holding its breath. The front door shut, his truck faded down the street somewhere in a quiet Ohio neighborhood, and the silence that followed pressed against my chest. I was still standing in the hallway, half awake, when my stepmother gently guided me into the spare room, her voice low and steady, telling me not to be afraid. In that moment, my heart raced for reasons I didn't yet understand, because fear had become a familiar guest in our home, and hope felt like something meant for other families, not ours. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet moments that can change a life, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that are still hurting. My name is Matthew, and at 16, I had already learned how to make myself small. I lived in a modest house in Indiana, the kind with creaky floors and faded paint, where memories lingered longer than warmth. My dad, Thomas, worked long shifts at a manufacturing plant, leaving before sunrise and coming home exhausted. He had married my stepmom, Sarah, 3 years after my mom passed away, and while she tried her best, I never knew where I fit in this new version of our family. Grief had taught me silence, and silence had become my armor. That morning, Sarah noticed something my father had missed. She saw the way my shoulders stayed tense even after the door closed, the way I flinched at sudden sounds, the way my grades had slipped without explanation. She didn't confront me with questions or demand answers. Instead, she offered something I hadn't felt in a long time: patience. The room she led me into was small and bright, sunlight spilling across a shelf of old books and framed photos of people I barely knew. It felt safe, like a place meant for honesty. Growing up without my mom had left a gap no one knew how to fill. At school, I blended into the background, another quiet kid with worn sneakers and eyes always searching for exits. Teachers like Mr. Collins tried to reach me, but I shrugged them off. Friends drifted away when they realized I never invited anyone over. Home wasn't a place I liked explaining. My dad loved me, I knew that. But his love came in the form of overtime hours and tired nods across the dinner table. Sarah's love was different, softer, and that made me suspicious of it. What Sarah sensed that morning was the weight I had been carrying alone. I had been bullied for months by a group of older kids, led by someone named Jacob, who seemed to enjoy breaking people down with words sharper than fists. Every insult stuck. Every laugh echoed in my head long after the halls emptied. I hadn't told my dad because he already had too much to worry about, and I hadn't told Sarah because I didn't know if she was really on my side. Fear taught me to keep quiet, but silence was slowly drowning me. Days passed after that morning, and something began to shift. Sarah started leaving small notes in my lunch bag, simple reminders that I mattered. She attended my parent-teacher meeting when my dad couldn't get time off, listening closely as Mrs. Anderson talked about my potential and my struggles. She didn't fix everything overnight, but she showed up, again and again, and that consistency cracked something open inside me. I started to believe that maybe I wasn't alone after all. The turning point came during a school assembly on kindness, ironically enough. As the speaker talked about unseen battles, I felt my throat tighten. The room was filled with students like me, hiding pain behind jokes or silence. When the bell rang, Jacob tried to corner me in the hallway, but this time a teacher noticed, and something in me refused to shrink. I walked away, heart pounding, realizing that fear only had power when I fed it. At home that evening, Sarah noticed the change in my posture, the way I held my head just a little higher. She didn't pry. She simply made dinner, humming softly, filling the kitchen with warmth and the smell of baked chicken. My dad came home late, as usual, but this time, I waited up to eat with him. It felt like a small victory, but to me, it was monumental. For the first time in years, I felt seen. Weeks turned into months, and healing came in uneven waves. There were setbacks, days when the old fear crept back in, but there were also breakthroughs. I joined the school's audio-visual club, discovering a love for storytelling and sound. Mr. Reynolds, the club advisor, encouraged me to use my voice, to tell stories that mattered. At home, Sarah cheered me on, attending every small showcase like it was a major event. Slowly, our house felt less like a place of echoes and more like a home. One evening, while sorting through old boxes in the attic, I found a photo of my mom smiling, young and hopeful. Instead of the familiar ache, I felt gratitude. I realized that loving Sarah didn't mean forgetting my mom. It meant honoring the love my mom had taught me to accept. That understanding lifted a weight I didn't know I was still carrying. As my confidence grew, so did my willingness to speak up. I finally told my dad about the bullying, expecting disappointment or anger. Instead, he listened quietly, his eyes wet with regret for not noticing sooner. He promised to be more present, and for the first time I believed him. Families aren't perfect, I learned, but they can grow when honesty replaces fear. If this story is touching your heart right now, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who might need hope, and leave a heartfelt comment. Your engagement means more than you know, and it helps this channel continue sharing stories that heal. Just before we reach the end, I want to ask you something special. Please comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. Looking back, that quiet morning after my dad left for work wasn't about fear at all. It was about courage showing up in an unexpected form, about a stepmother who chose compassion over distance, and about a boy learning that being afraid didn't make him weak. It made him human. Today, as I stand on the edge of adulthood, I carry that lesson with me. Kindness can change the direction of a life, and sometimes, all it takes is someone willing to whisper hope when the world feels too loud.